Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning and good evening as well, based on which part of the world you have logged in from. My name is Daman, your host for this afternoon. The topic today is crisis communications, social media, and notifications system. In the beginning, I will touch upon the basic concepts of BCM. At the end, I will talk about tools as well. A little about myself. I'm the COO and head sustainability practice at Opportunity and Resilience. In short, CORE. Some of my affiliation screens now. Day before yesterday, actually changed from member BCI and BCI. I got elevated to AF BCI, Associate Fellow of the BCI. I'll be happy to be connected. So please feel free to send LinkedIn invitations. Few words about ourselves. We are an ISO 22301 certified management consulting company. Major areas that we work in are business continuity management, crisis management, IT disaster recovery, green IT and sustainability. And in recent months, we have added another domain, information security, to our offerings. And in these areas, we consult, train, assess, and certify individuals as well as organizations. This hut has been seen in different ways. At the top is organizational objective. BCM, with the help of everything that is happening, everything else that is happening in the organization, takes us towards those objectives. So all are interlinked and all need to work in sync towards the same goal. Business Unit 1 to Business Unit N, risk management, quality management, physical security, information security, finance, HR, legal, marketing, crisis management, emergency management, disaster management, energy management, environment management, overall sustainability of the business. So I'm repeating, all working together, all working in sync only will take us to the desired goals. Effectively and efficiently, we may reach there. Perhaps will take long. We'll spend more resources. But if you want to be effective and efficient, then this is the way to work. If you look at ISO 22301, it says that the requirements for business continuity will come from your interested parties. The interested party itself is very interesting. As such, it's a simple replacement of the word that we used to use earlier called stakeholders. But if you look at the definition, it says anyone who could be affected by your business, could affect your business, or perceives to be affected by your business is your interested party. So that way the scope increases a lot. And that's why the standard has been named as societal security. So once you know the requirements from your interested parties, you would start planning for it. You will establish a business continuity management system, starting the program, writing the policy, developing the framework, processes, templates, and guidelines, etc. Then you will start using it. So it's called implement and operating it. Whatever documents, whatever processes have you written, now start using those processes and start producing more. Ultimately, you need to have a plan in place. What you're doing is not enough. You need to check whether you are doing it right or not. So the check portion comes into picture, which is called monitor and review. Internal audits start happening here. And then need to continually improve. So maintenance and improvement comes into picture, which is act portion. So this is how PDCA cycle of continual improvement has been implemented for BCM in ISO 22301. Those of you who have looked at, who have got it, or who have worked on ISO 22301 know that there are 10 clauses. First 3 clauses are kind of definitions, non-actionable. Plan portion has clause 4. Do has 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 clauses. Check has 9. And act has clause number 10. At the end, you will have managed business continuity for your interested parties. This is a big debate. We started perhaps 10 years ago or even longer, and perhaps we still do not have a concurrence. What is incident? What is crisis? And then we use few other terms: emergency management, disaster management, business continuity, business recovery. While the standard ISO 22301 depicts BCM stages through PDCA cycle that we saw in the earlier slide, those of us who are working on business continuity should know BCI's good practice guidelines as well. And GPG of BCI shows the BCM life cycle like this. 6 stages. At the center is embedding, analysis, design, implementation, validation, and outermost is called policy and program management. So in this life cycle, when you come to implementation portion, this is where you will be writing a crisis management plan or crisis communication plan, or any other plan: emergency management, disaster management, business continuity plan, etc. What I am saying, there is no consensus. Roughly, the order can be taken to be this, that the story will always start with an incident. But every incident is not a disaster, is not a crisis, is not a BC situation. Big incidents, initial portion will be emergency, during which the attempt is to save lives. An emergency, which means a big incident, may become a disaster also. And it is said that a disaster which is not managed properly, effectively, may become a crisis. So we take a recent example from India, for example. Maggi noodles produced by Nestle India about 6 months ago. These are found to be not good, not to the standards, containing excess of lead and few other material. It was banned, starting from one state to few other states to nationwide. So it started as an incident because the whole lot had to be called back. Production had to be stopped. It was a disaster as well. But I believe personally that Nestle India, the company, did not manage it well. They were very slow to respond. So it was a crisis also for them. Overall picture, Nestle produces a lot, perhaps hundreds of the products. So only one product going out, overall impact wouldn't have been huge. But for this product line, all stock had to be recalled. Production had to be stopped for about 6 months. If we look at ISO 22301, an incident has been defined like this: a situation that might be or could lead to a business disruption, loss, emergency, or crisis. So story always will start with an incident. Another definition of crisis: an unstable situation of extreme danger or difficulty. An unstable or crucial time or state of affairs whose outcome will make a decisive difference for better or worse. Crisis has a bad connotation. Now, if you would recollect, when we moved from BS 25999 to ISO 22301, we also gave up a term called crisis or crisis management. The standard does not have this term. Perhaps the reason is this: if I say there has been an incident and I have invoked the incident management plan, and if I say there has been a crisis and I have invoked my crisis management plan, there is huge difference between the perception that people would get about me or my organization. But this does not mean that crises have disappeared from our lives. So we still need to have that incident management plan that will take care of crisis also, or an independent crisis management plan. This is an old Chinese proverb also, that every danger or crisis has an opportunity as well. Generally, if I am going through a crisis, it may be an opportunity for my competitors. For example, when Maggi was banned, another company, big name, started a new product line of noodles of their own. But even if I think about myself, I would have opportunity to improve upon. What happened? What went wrong? How did this incident become a crisis for me? What could I do differently? So these become opportunities for me also. 22300, supporting document for 22301, defines crisis as a situation with a high level of uncertainty that disrupts the core activities and or credibility of an organization and requires urgent action. So if we are talking of incident or crisis, then we need to have an incident manager or crisis management a quick look at what would be the skills or characteristics in that person. Should be willing to lead, must be emotionally stable, resistant to stress, person who is able to take decisions, who is willing to take risks, who is confident and aware as well. Should be able to lead as well as follow. Communication should be good. Capable of delegating tasks, good at team management, good at taking decisions under pressure, one who can evaluate, analyze situations, who is good at planning and implementation of the actions, and the one who remains calm even during stressed situations. So incident response structure, incident crisis management team, what resources will be required, where will you manage this incident from, that is your incident command center, battle box, what communication will happen. New media is very important, we'll discuss about this also. The speed of response and recovery. These are important elements of incident management, crisis management. So some good practices around crisis management, that we need to be able to anticipate crises. So do we have our antennas on? What are the processes? What are the tools, mechanisms that we are using to anticipate crisis? Another big one happening in India currently in the south of the country, Chennai state, heavy rains and flooding. Last 100 years records have been broken. But still being analyzed, there are reports coming out already that the department had predicted heavy rains 2-3 months ago. So anticipation only is not enough. We then need to go to the next step of being prepared to face that challenge. Who will manage the crisis? Who will communicate? Needs to be identified, established. Not everyone will be a spokesperson of the company. So who will that person be? Once identified, even he or she needs to be trained. Notification and monitoring systems capable of producing early warning systems, early warnings. It's very important when you're managing an incident, disaster or crisis, who all do you need to deal with? You wouldn't find that when you're going through the crisis. So when you were planning, at that stage you would have identified or established your interested parties. And during incident crisis management, then you would be taking actions accordingly with them. With some, perhaps you would have to share only the policy or even an abstract of the policy perhaps. With some, you may have to share your plans as well. With many, perhaps you would have to share your actions, updates. So that's why knowing interested parties ahead of the time is important in this task. Holding statements very important. In your good times, think of all the bad that could happen to you and plan for that. So also plan the communication. In your communication plan, think different situations and keep some draft messages ready. Because during real crisis, we would be under pressure. We would be stressed. So we may not be able to write good communication. We may not have enough time to write good communication. So the good practice says have holding statements. Draft is available for different types of situations. Pick up, make some quick changes and issue quickly. What is happening? Who all are impacted? What is the impact on people, on building, on IT, vendor, equipment, utilities, supplies, information? Once the crisis is over, then the good practice is to do this post-analysis as well. What happened? Who did what? What went wrong? What could be done differently? What needs to be improved upon? Social media is a big challenge. So a few minutes around this as well, some good practices. And there is no alternative to preparation. Do not run and do not hide. If an incident has happened, admit it. Acknowledge there is a crisis if there is a crisis. Decide who will be talking, who will be meeting, who will be visible to the public. Stay calm, very difficult, but that's good practice. Address real audience through the media. First impressions count, and I'm repeating the real case. In my belief, Nestle India was very slow to respond, and that perhaps impacted on their reputation badly. Release as much as you can and as quickly as you can. In the past, we perhaps were reluctant to share. Now the challenge is, the risk is that if I do not share, people will start making assumptions, and those would fly on social media like at the speed of light. Only what you know is true. That should be admitted. Avoid speculation or answering hypothetical questions, and challenge information that you know is wrong. So 2 points. Say only what is true, what you know is true. And if you know something which is not true, which is incorrect, then challenge that information, that statement as well. Speak in common, easily understood language. Keep it sweet, simple is very important in crisis management. Show concern about the people who may be impacted and about their families. This helps a lot. Don't bother blaming the media. Rather, manage media. Listen and be present. People are upset because some crisis has happened. Assume some contamination or some unapproved material or high content of the material found in Maggi noodles. People were unhappy. And if the CEO doesn't show concern, doesn't show that he or she is involved, doesn't pay attention to people's voice. That could become a bigger challenge than the original challenge. Set expectations correctly. Be transparent. Do not hide. Respond thoughtfully. And do not lose your cool ever. Manage access to your social media accounts carefully. This is a very important point. Social media is a challenge because of the reach and because of the speed. This live case. Basic retail chain HME laid off a large number of its employees in Jan 2013. Bosses didn't realize their marketing team, who had been made redundant, still had access to the brand's social media sites. So you threw me out of the company, but you forgot to revoke my accesses. What do you expect me to do? I'm sure I'll go and write. This is a challenge. There are over 60 of us being fired at once. Mass execution of loyal employees who love the brand. I could write even worse than this, perhaps. Post moderation guidelines on your social media pages. Now, you have social media pages? Thousands and thousands of people may be writing there. You may not have capability of responding to each and individual message. So post that guideline, please. Because otherwise, if I am posting, I expect someone to respond to me individually. May not be achievable. So write it on the page itself. Set expectations correctly. It's not easy task, specialized task, so special people should be doing this. And do not forget, this also is fact that you will never be able to please everybody. Everybody makes mistakes, but having a solid plan in place to address the negative whiplash or complaints in a timely and transparent manner will not only help preserve your company's reputation, and reputation is invaluable, but confirm yet again that you are a business that cares about its customers. So this feeling, if your customers get this feeling from your acts and from your responses and from your communication, they will be happy, satisfied, and willing to go an extra mile to make them happy and live up to your reputation. Act fast. Now, social media moves at the speed of light. So our responses also need to be the same speed, with the same speed. Take charge, handle reality, engage negative shares, spread the word. Encourage dialogue. Once again, if I'm that person who has been impacted, or I am perceived impacted, right? I am angry. If you encourage dialogue and get in dialogue with me, my anger will be melted down. And then deliver. Commitment should not be missed. Otherwise, again, that could be a bigger challenge than the original challenge. Don't be scared, rather prepared. Buy some binoculars. Now, what I mean to say is, your antennas, that you're able to monitor what's happening around, what is being said about you in the social media. Set a listening protocol as well. For example, you allow me to post my questions on your site. Maybe your internet site, maybe a page or or pages. Understand what is and what is not a crisis for you. One size doesn't fit all. What is a crisis? Is well laid down in a plan. Social media is a fire, but it is also a good treatment. Another live case. Kellogg's failed on this point in April 2012 during a Facebook field crisis about the soy ingredients of their Kashi brand. They responded to the crisis with a YouTube video. Do you understand? Crisis started on Facebook, but the response went to YouTube. That is not good strategy. Fight the social media fire with the social media water. Be sorry if you need to be. Create a crisis FAQ on your site and some of the questions which may be readily available, because there may be thousands expecting response. You may not be able to respond individually. So you say in advance, these are the FAQs. If your query is not answered within this, then please feel free to write and we will respond back. Acknowledgement of the crisis, details about the occurrence, photos or videos, how the company found out, who was alerted when and how, specific actions taken in response, real or potential effects, steps taken to prevent future occurrence, this is very important, and contact information for real people. So even if your query is not answered in this FAQ sheet, then who you can talk to or write to, who you can get in touch with, that should be mentioned. Build a pressure release valve. I'm angry. So I'm a pressure cooker full of pressure. There should be a release valve available to me, including your FAQs, your attempts to establish and maintain a dialogue with me are these pressure release valves. And also do not leave this, because there may be a lot negative there. As soon as the incident is over, perhaps remove that. Your notification system should be able to take care of all interested parties. It may be manual or tool assisted. And the requirement as good practice is capable of two-way responses, recording and responding later if required, and forecasting, early warning systems. Quick view at our key workshops. From 1 day to 5 days, different areas: business continuity management, risk management, ITDR, crisis management, a lead auditor certification, lead implementer certification, CBCI certification. All these workshops are scheduled in as public workshops, but can be scheduled as in-houses also for you. If you need any information about these, please feel free to write to us. Talking of crisis management, the standard is BS 11200, which was released in 2014. So a quick look at this standard also. The name is Crisis Management Guidance and Good Practice. So this makes it clear to us that this is not a certifiable standard. Sets out the principles and good practice for the provision of a crisis management response delivered by the top management of any organization of any size. That's the beauty. That this can be used by anyone, anywhere in the world, any industry sector, of any size and of any complexity. has 8 chapters I had mentioned here. Starts with establishing the framework, developing the plans, creating the capability, and ends with communications and testing of the plan. It is intended for top management with strategic responsibilities for the delivery of a crisis management capability and those responsible for implementing the crisis plans and structures and for maintaining and testing the procedures. So what I see from these two statements is that there is a lot of importance, expectation from the top management in this standard. Guidance for understanding the context, developing organization's crisis management capability, which is through planning and training, recognizing complexities, communicating successfully during a crisis. Closing with ISO 22301, which is business continuity management, BS 65000, which is organizational resilience, ISO 27001, which is information security, and PD 25666, a document still under production by ISO about exercising and testing of the plans. Last few minutes about tools also. How do tools help us? These bring consistency, help us to avoid rework, bring in standardization, increase the usability, so we save time, money, and effort. Effectiveness and efficiency goes up by the use of tools. What you expect from a BCM tool is that it's not only for BIA, it's not only for RA, it's not only for communication. I want to see end-to-end full BCM life cycle. A tool that is in line with the standard, global standard for BCM today is 22301. A tool which is easy to implement, maintain, use, as well as cost effective, that supports multiple formats of documents. Some important, I don't mean to say this is comprehensive list, but some that we know and we work with, we will be able to provide more information on. SunGuard, Inoni, Sanovi, Perpetuity, and EBRP. We work with these closely. In your notification or communication, who communicates what, to whom, when, and how? This is complete cycle. So we'll see, you will attempt, you would like that your tool also have these capabilities. Who communicates what, to whom, when, and how. Importance of notification tools, because in crisis you would be stressed, you would be hard pressed for time, so you want to be as effective, as efficient as possible. We want to avoid Chinese whisper also. So the same message goes to all. Real-time status updates, because tools may be very quick, fast. Possibility to have anytime, anywhere communications. Rapid reach, SunGuard and EBRP repetition. We can provide more information on these if you would like to. We work closely with these organizations. At this point in time, I would like to ask first question to my audience. Geeta, can you launch first poll, please? The question is, was this talk useful? Please select options on your screen. Poll closes in few seconds. The result is very encouraging to us. Thank you very much. We look forward to your participation in future webinars also. Second question in mind I have for you is, would you like to have more details about all that we have discussed today? BCM concepts, crisis management concepts, social tools, or anything else that we deal with. And we deal in 4, 5, 6 continuity management, risk management, ITDR, green IT sustainability, and information security. Would you like to have more details? A response to you. Thank you very much. Those saying yes, a request is please read to us and we'll be happy to respond. Third question. Would you like to invite your friends, colleagues to our webinars, which are always free? Select your options, please. We will soon share the results with you. Thank you very much. Then there's a request. When you receive next mail from us, please forward that to your friends and colleagues. That's the only way they will be able to reach to us. I'm repeating, our webinars are always free, but these wouldn't be successful without your participation. So thanks for being with us. Learning sharing is forever. 1 hour, 45 minutes, not enough. You may have questions in mind. We have some time. I'll open it for questions. You can type in your questions on your screens. I will attempt to answer as many as possible and to my best capabilities. If you have questions later, please let us know. Once again, my email ID in front of you now. First comment or observations or question is, don't you feel there must be a knowledge bank of communication messages? Thoda sad medium before the crisis actually happens. Yeah, that's what holding statement is. It may be a document, it may be a system. I agree with you. Knowledge bank is always helpful. That's a good practice. Any more questions, please? Can you also please share the presentation with me? Happily, not only with you, actually with all participants. The full recording of the webinar will be shared with you. Any more questions? Please type on. If not, then I would like to close with thanks and with the offer that you can write to us later also, and we will be happy to respond. Look forward to having you as our audience in our future webinars also. A request, please forward to all you believe will benefit from these free webinars. Thank you very much. This is your host, Daman, logging off. Bye-bye.